Right. So if you look at the created condition section, you'll see that at the time of incarnation, the soul is in a certain condition. The condition is that it is unaware of itself at the moment of incarnation, shortly after it begins the development of awareness, but at the moment of incarnation, it is unaware of itself. It also has not sinned. Just before it incarnates, it has not sinned. Right? And it doesn't even have a desire to sin. It also doesn't have a desire to not sin. It doesn't have any desires at all that it recognises because it's unaware. It's only once it incarnates that it begins the process of developing awareness, and therefore can begin either developing the desire to sin or the desire to avoid sin. Now, for the majority of us, as we've seen in the creation of our pain, we've got our parent sin now, that the soul is the poor child's now accepting whatever sins now of the bodies and the souls of the people around it, because it has no ability to determine what is a sin and what is not at this stage. This is the damage we do to our children, because we're unaware of sin. We're unaware, we haven't let it go, we haven't processed this. Because we've chosen to create that and not process that, not let it go, our child then has no choice but to accept some of it, right? And this is a terribly unloving thing we do to our child. But all of us have done it who have had children without awareness. And in our lack of awareness of what's been created, our child now starts absorbing the sins that we've created. And that's why in the Paget messages it refers to the sins of the father, multi-generational sins being passed from one generation to the next. Now, God made it that way purposefully, because it also has benefits in the opposite direction. It's like everything God has done. If you misabuse it or abuse it, it can turn out to be terrible. If you use it and actually support it, it can turn out to be wonderful. And one of the wonderful benefits of a parent, both parents removing sin, is that if a child is then conceived without sin, it has none of this to deconstruct. Imagine what a wonderful benefit that is. And then on top of that, it would be born, if the parents were aware, they were soulmates themselves and were aware of the soulmates from an emotional perspective, it would be born with an awareness of the other half of itself at the time of birth, which would develop to a conscious awareness as the brain develops. And so by the time they're 5, 6 or 7 years of age, they would have met their soulmate, recognised them and identified them and know them. So that's the benefits of having it this way. But you see, mankind, we put our muddy foot into it all, don't we? And we turn it all into something that looks pretty bad because of the use of our will in an unloving way. But the reality is, if we used our will lovingly as parents and we released this construction, this sin-based construction, our children would have a fantastic start in life. And in fact, by the time they were 7, the majority of people on earth would think they're sort of some different kind of race than what we're completely used to on this planet. So that's our potential.